What's up guys, NepentheZ here and welcome to a FIFA 20 ratings prediction video. Today we're going to be tackling Arsenal and Barcelona, giving not just my thoughts but your thoughts on what the potential ratings can be for Arsenal and Barcelona in FIFA 20. If this video does well, I will do plenty more over the course of the coming weeks. I'm in Gamescom next week, and this actually took a long time. It took about 2.5 to 3 hours just to get the ratings, and you'll kind of see why in a bit. If this does well, we'll do more. Basically, if this gets good views and good likes and just good, interactions, we're going to tackle Liverpool and Real Madrid next. And after that, we're going to do Manchester City and Piemonte Calcio next. And then you guys can let me know in the comment section below which team you'd like to see next. And we're going to do 2 teams per video because there is a lot to talk about with the ratings. What you're seeing on screen right now, guys, is Arsenal's current FIFA 19 best possible team. Of course, multiple players there have left. Aaron Ramsey has gone, Koscielny has gone, and Petr Cech has gone. And of course, that has no bearing on the ratings in the future. One thing I do want to note is that the transfer window outside of England is still open, and so for clubs, well, even English clubs, if they're selling, players might leave, and so obviously then makes no difference. And also for clubs like Barcelona, I know they're potentially close to signing Neymar. He's not in this for Barcelona right now because he's not actually a Barcelona player at the moment, so he's not in it. So there might be players that have already gone or already come by the time you're watching this video because of how we did it. The other thing to note, guys, is that this is just an opinion piece. It's not factual. There's no, EA can do what they want, how they want. You know what EA are like. Sometimes that they just completely crucify players with no reason. Sometimes they just give players massive boosts with no reason. And sometimes they're just very weird with it. And we spent a long time on stream yesterday. And if you want to come and check it out, mixer.com/NepentheZ, link is down below. We spent a long time on stream yesterday figuring out what we genuinely think EA are going to do with these players, but more importantly, why. So let's move on to the goalkeepers and defenders for Arsenal. Now, the first thing to note here, guys, number one, Mustafi is there, and it's very possible that he won't be an Arsenal player for very much longer. And number two, Holding and Chambers aren't there because it couldn't fit him onto the screenshot. Again, the stream, we feel like Holding, who was a 74 rated silver, will move up to a 76 rated gold player. He was important in the first 3 months of Arsenal's Premier League run last year and then got injured for the rest of the year. Arsenal lost their first 2 games to Chelsea and Manchester United last year, but then they went on like a 23-game unbeaten streak, including, I think, 17 more games or 16 more games in the league without losing. And Holding was instrumental in that. And then Callum Chambers, who is currently a 75, we think is going to remain as a 75 rated. He was with Fulham last season out on loan. They did get relegated, which is obviously a part and parcel of him, but he was the player of the season for Fulham. So the standout player in the squad, I think it's fair to say that he'll remain the same. So let's begin with Leno, guys. Leno, as I said, what we spent time doing in the stream was kind of getting everybody's opinion and then forming what we think is the most obvious or likely choice for EA. So with Leno, he's going to remain an 84 in my opinion. It's possible that he'll get upgraded, but what we've written down here is he had a good year. There was a bad backline in front of him, which obviously really didn't help. And of course, with that, he made a lot of good saves because of that. But he didn't have many clean sheets. And of course, only got that 1 away clean sheet at the very end of the season. And so for that, I can't see EA giving him a boost. However, what I could see is if he has a good start to the year this year with Arsenal, I can see him getting an upgrade in the winter refresh to maybe an 86. But as of this year, I think he's going to remain the same. For Monreal, we've decided to downgrade him by 2. He wasn't great last year. He wasn't terrible. He wasn't the worst Arsenal defender. That's absolutely fair. But he's 33 now, and EA just typically crucify older players unless they're absolute superstars. When you look at Ronaldo and Messi, Ronaldo obviously 34 now, they hold high regard, still get high rating. Even Zlatan Ibrahimovic, he's still got an 85 last year as what, 35-year-old or whatever. Like, so unless we're looking at like some of the best or top names in world football, the older players get EA just to like, oh, you're old now, you're bad now, and that's it. So based on that, we think Monreal is going to get a small downgrade. And you'll notice here that I haven't shown the in-game stats or what I think the face card stats might be. The reason being is twofold there. First and foremost, The face card stats don't even tell the whole picture, as we've learned over the last couple of years, and in some regards are largely irrelevant. You know, when you look at somebody with like 90 physical, but they've only got 17 stamina, that's still a player I couldn't give a damn about. And number two is EA are so dramatic with certain upgrades and downgrades with face card stats. For example, Vidal last year just got abused for pace. Like, they just cut a leg off of him completely. So, you know, I just want to kind of give like an opinion or an understanding of where the overall rating is going to be. Next up is Socrates. He wasn't good enough to warrant an upgrade, but he was the best defender last year. And I do think he could potentially be another one that if he has a good start to the season this season, he could be in for a winter upgrade. And then David Luiz. Now, this was one of the most contentious ones. I think we concluded that he will stay as an 83 rated. The notes we've got here is he had an inconsistent season for Chelsea, but he won the Europa League. According to some in the chat, and I didn't actually get time to fact check all of this, so let me know in the comment section below if this is right or if this is wrong. According to a few people in my chat that were Chelsea fans, he only lost the ball 3 times all year. I don't think that takes into consideration misplaced passes. I think that takes into consideration defensive errors where he just like had the ball, tried to dribble out and lost the ball. That's my interpretation of it. But you guys can let me know if that was right or wrong. And he was the 3rd most capped player at Chelsea last year. So he had a lot of minutes, a lot of game time, and Chelsea had the 3rd best defensive record in the league. So for a centre-back that had a lot of games and a lot of minutes in the Chelsea shirt, had the 3rd best defensive record in the league in the Chelsea shirt, won a trophy, and supposedly only lost the ball 3 times, by all accounts, as inconsistent as Chelsea fans made out that he had a good year. And so for that, I don't necessarily think that will warrant him an upgrade, but I don't think he'll get downgraded either. Then Hector Bellerin. Now, on my Instagram post where I put out not necessarily a true vision of what I thought the Arsenal squad was going to be, but just a fun vision of what I thought the Arsenal squad could be, I upgraded to Hector Bellerin to an 83. I still think he might get upgraded to an 82. And I ended up putting 81 as the upgrade here, not because that's what I think, but that's actually because more what you guys and my viewers in the stream thought. So Hector Bellerin, the reason why he's so contentious is because he didn't play a lot last year, or so people thought. But he actually played 19 Premier League games last year. He was absolutely amazing and hands down one of our best players the entire season until he got injured. So yes, he didn't play the whole year, but the 6 months that he did play, the 19 Premier League games that he did play, again, taking Arsenal through that, or helping Arsenal massively through that 23-game unbeaten streak, and just generally being one of the better players in the club until his injury, I think he thoroughly deserves an upgrade. And I think if he did play for the whole season, not only do I think it would have really helped Arsenal get into the top 4 last year, but I think he would have ended up picking up a big upgrade to like an 82 or an 83. It's very hard to actually put him up to an 83 when you consider the likes of the fullbacks in general. EA just reluctant to give high ratings to. You know, when you look at Sandro, Marcelo, Jordi Alba, they're in like 87, 86, 88 territory. And then when you look at some of the best right backs that have been around in the world in recent years, you know, you've got Philipp Lahm. He's only an 85 rated. Sorry, not Philipp Lahm. Joshua Kimmich. Is he an 85 rated now? Yeah, he is. Philipp Lahm, though, I think back in the day, he was also only like an 85 or an 86 rated. So, yeah, super reluctant to give high levels for fullbacks, which has to be shown in Hector Bellerin. But yeah, he was absolutely important for Arsenal last year. And I think he had a brilliant first half of the season. And I think he will get a minor upgrade. But I also think that, again, at winter refresh, he'll get, if he plays well when he comes back from injury in about a month or so's time, I think he'll get another big upgrade through that. Kolasinac next up. So he was good going forwards, but no end product for Arsenal. Not the best defensively, but wasn't terrible. And so I think for him, he'll stay the same. Some people thought he could potentially go up to an 81. Some people thought he could potentially go down to a 79. But I think keeping him at an 80 is probably fair. And then Mustafi, another contentious one, made some big mistakes for Arsenal, was relatively inconsistent, but he was a scapegoat for Arsenal fans. Like, I saw some data tweeted out by one of the Sky Sports Twitter accounts where he had like one of the best tackle success rates at Arsenal. He won like a high percent of his aerial duels at Arsenal. He was in, you know, when he was paired with Socrates, Arsenal barely lost or conceded goals. Like, I do think he was used as a scapegoat, but I also think that, again, when you look at the state and the quality of 83 and 84 rated defenders, I don't think he's going to keep that 82 placeholder. I think he's going to get downgraded to an 81. And then Kieran Tierney. He had a good year for Celtic, made a big move to the Premier League. was influential incredibly much going forwards for Celtic, was scored goals, got lots of assists as well, and was a big player for them. But because he's unproven in a big league, in the Premier League, I don't necessarily think that season with Celtic is enough to take him up to the 80s or anything like that. But as a 79 rated, I think he'll come in hot. And then if he has a good year for Arsenal this year, again, when he comes back from injury, I can see him either in the winter refresh or next year, potentially moving up to an 81 or an 82, on that kind of Kieran Trippier level, on that kind of... maybe not Serge Aurier. I can see him getting an upgrade this year as well. But like those fullbacks, the Digne and all the, Leighton Baines, although Leighton Baines is a little bit lower rated now, isn't he? Like, when you look at Fabian Delph and Danny Rose, he can definitely get to those levels very, very quickly. So we could see him going up. So that is the Arsenal backline, guys. Let's move on to the midfielders. And on to the midfielders, we start with Mesut Ozil. So some people believe that Mesut Ozil will remain an 86 because of his name. I watched Ozil play a lot last year. Obviously, I watched Arsenal a hell of a lot. I can see him staying the same. I can see him getting a relatively big downgrade to an 84 or an 83. I think he's going to get downgraded just because he's just not showing enough. He's not giving enough as a player. He's not, when you think about what he offered at Real Madrid and when you think about what he has offered in times at Arsenal, we wrote down here he had a very tumultuous year, could easily be an 84 and an 85, showed moments of brilliance, but not enough to keep an 86 rating, which I think is very fair. Henrik Mkhitaryan is another one that when I watched him play at Dortmund, he was a machine. And when he came to the Premier League, he had moments of brilliance at Manchester United, and he's had moments at Arsenal, but they have been very few and far between. And I don't think personally that's even near enough to keep him up at that 84. Some of the Arsenal fans in my chat had noted that he didn't just have not a good season. He had an actively bad season. He just wasn't a great player. And I think a downgrade for him is going to be very fair. And then Lucas Torreira. So somebody put in my chat again, and I didn't have time to fact check this, and I believe it's for Premier League only, but he had 0 errors leading to goals last year. That is fantastic for a defensive-minded midfielder. He just in general was a brilliant player. He worked really hard for the team. His drive was great. He scored goals. His passing was brilliant, and I think that warrants a small upgrade for Lucas Torreira. And Granit Xhaka, we've literally got, he was just no better or worse than the year before. He is still Granit Xhaka. And you guys know what I mean when I say that, because you all have a Granit Xhaka in your club. One of those players that is just typically quite tragic, but for some reason the managers love him. And that is what Granit Xhaka is. And because he wasn't worse than last year, I can't see EA downgrading him. Some believe he'll get an upgrade. Some believe he was super influential for Arsenal and super important for the team. I personally don't really enjoy watching him play for Arsenal. I'm always on edge when he plays. I'm always thinking, okay, when is he going to break someone's leg and get a red card? When is he going to make a stupid mistake and give the ball away? When is he going to not track back to try and, help defend? Like, I really worry when he plays. And yeah, he does have those moments where you're like, whoa, that was amazing. Like the goal against Manchester United or the free kick that he scored. He's had some good moments, but I don't personally think he's going to get upgraded or downgraded. And then Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Now, he had a good season for us last year. He's wants to be a winger, so I understand. Obviously, he was a centre mid last year as his base card. He's been playing at right back for Arsenal, and he's been doing very, very well at right back. He's got a great attacking presence, and because he is a starter in the Arsenal team, I do think he's going to get upgraded to a gold card. I don't know where they're going to make his position, because he is a right back or a right wing back, not by choice. So are EA going to be like, oh, he played there, so we're going to put him there? Or are EA, sensible enough to be like, okay, he's being forced to play there, that's not his natural position? Like when Rooney played left mid for Manchester United for an entire season, he was still a striker in the game. So I don't know whether or not he's going to stay as a centre mid or move to a right mid or a right wing back, which is probably the likely choice. I know Ashley Young got moved to a right wing back or a left wing back, didn't he, when he was a winger initially? And so yeah, I can see Ainsley Maitland-Niles getting a nice upgrade, and if he carries on doing good things this year, which he started the season quite well as well, if he carries on doing good things this year, I can see him becoming a really a good name, a household name in the Arsenal team. And then we have NepentheZ. So he had a brilliant first year at Arsenal. He has lots of potential. Of course, he got the Future Stars card. He is a starter for Arsenal. He played a lot of games last year. He started the game today against Burnley and played well. He's one of those players that, and people don't agree. Some people don't agree. Some people do agree. I've watched a lot of NepentheZ since he started with Arsenal early last year when he was a 19-year-old from the French League 2. I think this man has insane potential. I think he's going to be an absolute world beater in the coming years. I think he's going to end up moving on to a much bigger club, to a Juventus or a Barcelona or a Real Madrid, to a real powerhouse club. And he's going to shine there because this guy has got absolute bundles of potential. And I love watching him play. And I think he thoroughly deserves. Again, this is one of those ones where I think he's going to come in at maybe a 78, a 79 kind of level. Chat kind of disagreed with that, and so I went on the general consensus again to show that this isn't my bias coming in, because I would have him way higher. But we think, our community thinks, that Guendouzi is going to get upgraded to a 75. And then Ceballos, guys, the Spain under-21 captain, team of the tournament for the Spain under-21s, in the team of the tournament. He played a lot of games for Real Madrid last year. There was a big Real Madrid fan in my chat that said he thinks he'll stay the same. I think because of the move that he's made to Arsenal, the start that he's had at Arsenal, and the fact that his name was in the headlines, he has a one-star reputation right now, and EA overall is determined in regards by international reputation. Somebody with a 4-star reputation will be like an 84 rated, whereas that same card, if they have a 1-star reputation, will be like an 80 rated, right? So I can see him getting upgraded based on his merits. I can also see him getting upgraded just because of international reputation is improving, because he is the Spain under-21s captain, won the under-21s World Cup, was in a team at a tournament. He had a good year by all accounts, and he started off phenomenally for Arsenal so far. His performance today against Burnley was absolutely outrageous. He's so much fun to watch, and I can genuinely see... I could understand if he remained an 81, but he already had an upgrade last year from a 78 to an 81. I can see that carrying on throughout this year, going up to an 82, potentially even 83 or 84 in the winter refresh when that comes around. And that leaves us, guys, for the attackers. And here we go. So, another very contentious one on the Instagram post that I put up with Aubameyang. Now, Aubameyang's base gold card this year was an 88. He finished Golden Boot winner in the Premier League, joined obviously with Mane and Salah, but Golden Boot winner in a team that finished 5th in the league and generally struggled. You can't knock that. When you think about the rating of Sergio Aguero and the rating of Harry Kane, who scored less goals than Aubameyang, when you think about the level of quality that he possesses for Arsenal, and the fact that already in this season he scored in each game 2 goals in 2 games, I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to get upgraded at least to an 89, most likely to a 90. You just can't fault that. And then Lacazette, obviously, he was Arsenal's player of the year last year. He scored a whole bunch of goals. I think it was 19 in all competitions, which is brilliant, alongside Aubameyang's close, I think, 30 or so last year. And I personally think this was one of those ones where I think maybe Lacazette will stay as an 85. Maybe he'll get upgraded to an 86. It was more the chat that said, no, put Lacazette as an 87. He showed a lot of class, a lot of promise. And again, he had a great game today. He scored against Burnley, a phenomenal goal as well, from a really tight angle. He worked really hard for it. And he's just generally a brilliant player for us. So I can see us getting an upgrade on Alex Lacazette, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he remained as an 85. And that moves us on to Pepe and Reiss Nelson. So Reiss Nelson, he scored 7 goals in the Bundesliga for Hoffenheim last year, played a lot of games. Apparently he has an attitude problem. I don't think he's going to get an upgrade to a gold, even though he did start for Arsenal today on the left wing, actually. He didn't really get into the game. He didn't really do all that much. He scored a goal, but it was counted as offside from Monreal. So, he's getting into some good positions, but I think he's still a bit unproven in the Premier League to say that he deserves a gold card. And then Pepe, of course, 22 goals and 11 assists in the league last year. He helped take Lille from a team that almost got relegated 2 years ago to a team that finished 2nd in the French league last season. I think he scored 9 penalties, but so according to my chat, he scored 8. Sorry, he won 8 of those penalties that he ended up scoring 9 of. And although he definitely has potential to be a big card in the future, 84, 85, 86 or higher, I think because he's unproven in the Premier League and because he's only had 1 year, I don't think he's going to get a monster upgrade. And he's another one that I had fun with on the Instagram post, and it kind of cheesed a lot of people. But yeah, I think he'll come in at an 82, maybe an 81. And that will leave the team looking like this. And again, of course, this is just my opinion of what the team will look like. I think this is just my starting 11 for Arsenal. This has no bearing on yours. This is literally just what the team could potentially look like in game. So if we have Lacazette up front, Aubameyang and Pepe on the wings just in behind, Ozil there as well, Guendouzi and Torreira, although after Ceballos' performance today, I would actually much prefer to see Ceballos in the team a lot more than I see Mesut Ozil in the team. I think Socrates and David Luiz is going to be Arsenal's starting centre-back pair the whole year, which is, again, how they started today. And when they come back from injury, Bellerin and Tierney are going to be our fullbacks. Although, a lot of love for Kolasinac. You know, I have such a love-hate relationship with him. Like, he has the potential to be insane. He just needs to work on that end ball, and then Leno in goal. So we're going to move on to Barcelona now, guys. Of course, let me know your thoughts and feedback about Arsenal. Let's go to the Barcelona starting 11 from FIFA 19. And this is what it looked like. So obviously, a huge squad. 96 footies Griezmann, 98 Suarez, Messi, Dembele, team of the seasons. Lots of team of the seasons in there for Barcelona. Sergio Roberto coming in just at the 85 UCL. And Titi with that League SBC card. Coutinho in there. Of course, he is another one that has now transferred out. And Dembele has potential of transferring out, going to PSG in a swap deal for Neymar plus some money. And that would be pretty insane to see Dembele and Mbappe together at PSG. I think that would be a lot of fun. But we're going to move straight into the defenders of Barcelona. And they have a lot of goalkeepers and defenders. Now, Ter Stegen, people assumed he will get an upgrade. He had a great season last year, 16 clean sheets in the league. And Neto, of course, has transferred. We think is going to remain the same. He had 10 clean sheets in 34 games. But had a shocking defense in front of him and conceded a bunch of goals. Didn't win anything, obviously, and so I think for Neto he'll say the same. But people believe for Ter Stegen will get an upgrade. For Jordi Alba, it was a tough one for the Barcelona players, right? Because they're already so high rated. So for Jordi Alba, we already have the comments are he already has a super high rated card. He's regarded one of the best left backs in world football and had another good season. Probably didn't do enough to warrant an upgrade. But again, what's difficult with the fullbacks and CDMs is that EA are just always reluctant to give them high rated cards. Like, when have you seen an 89 rated base fullback or a 90 rated base fullback? You just don't see it. So I can't see really Jordi Alba moving up to an 88 personally. However, for PK, again, there was a lot of Barcelona fans in my chat, and he had arguably his best season in a Barcelona shirt in recent years. He was a standout player for Barcelona, and he's just carrying on proving himself as being one of the best centre-backs in world football. And for that, he could get an upgrade, or most likely will get an upgrade, maybe even to an 89, but we went with the 88. For Titi, he had an injury-hit season. When he was fit, he was a second-choice centre-back behind Longley, obviously with PK being the first-choice centre-back. And he didn't live up to the World Cup hype that he had a couple years ago when he won the World Cup with France. And so for that, we believe he's going to get a downgrade. And on the flip side, because Longley was the centre-back picked ahead of Titi, he had a good year, better than previous years, was quite instrumental in Barcelona's back line, and will likely get a small upgrade because of that. Sergio Roberto, however, had no better or worse season than the previous year and spent a lot of time in midfield as well, playing in that centre midfield role, with Semedo playing in that right-back role. And, of course, we've given Semedo an upgrade. This was a very, very, very contentious one with him. He had a solid season, not the breakthrough as expected, wasn't amazingly defensively, was good going forwards. It was a real tear in the chat. A lot of people think he'll just remain as an 80. Some think he'll go up as an 81. Either way, he's still going to be the same pace merchant. It will still be a good early game right-back with that pace and that dribbling ability. And as the season goes on, he'll just fade away to becoming an irrelevant fullback. And then last but not least, we've got Firpo. I believe he's transferred to... he's a Spanish left-back now as well. He had a great season at Real Betis. He already got upgraded during mid-season and will likely be given a rating equivalent to the skill set that he has. So somewhere closer to 80 is what we expect for him. So moving on, guys, to the midfielders for Barcelona. And this is actually an area where they're lacking a little bit. Now, they have got a couple of silver midfielders that have been getting a little bit of game time here or there that people ask to put in. But it's very hard because I watch, obviously, Arsenal all the time, and then I watch as much football as time allows going forward. So because I don't really watch much of those young players for Barcelona play and those silver players for Barcelona play, I just don't want to have just a wildly uneducated guess. So we're going to stick to the mainstays, stick to the big names. Starting with Sergio Busquets. So another great year. Proposed that he could get a 90 rated card, but once again, EA are super reluctant to give CDMs high rated cards when N'Golo Kante's base gold card is coming in as an 89, as without doubt the best centre CDM in world football. You can't say that Busquets is going to get upgraded unless they also upgrade Kante as well on top of that. So there's potential that Busquets will get upgraded to a 90, but I think he'll remain as an 89. For Arthur, He had a good season with Barcelona, progressed through the year, and won the Copa America with Brazil, which I think is enough to give him an upgrade. And then Vidal was a weird one. When we talked about Vidal, people were just like, he's going to get downgraded. No question about it. 83, 82 or something like that. But then we had a look at the stats, and he played a lot of games for Barcelona last year. 33 games in the league, 53 in total, and got more minutes for Barcelona in the league last year than any season he had for Bayern, dating all the way back to 2015. So the fact that he just played so much football for Barcelona, and the fact that he was always in the manager's plans, to me suggests that you can't possibly get a downgrade when you're that much, when you're just kind of used and utilized to that degree. And then for Rakitic, so Rakitic was another one. People think he might go down to an 86. What was interesting about him, though, is he got more goals and the same assists in the league this year than last year, and in the Cup. And I think in the Champions League, he got the same goals and more assists in this year. He played a lot of minutes for Barcelona. Chat was very split, and some expect a downgrade. So I think we'll see him remain as an 87. Who knows? Maybe he goes down to an 86. Then you have Rafinha. He was injured all year. Hard to downgrade or upgrade based on that. Some people think he'll go down to an 80 based on that. But for me, if that's how good he was before the injury, you can't judge him again until you see him play after the injury. So for that whole year that he was out, it's hard to say, oh, he got worse in that year. Who knows? He might become a better footballer in that year. So I think Rafinha will remain as an 82 based on that. And then De Jong, some people were getting a bit ahead of themselves, thinking 86, 87, 88 rated for him. Don't get me wrong. He had an insane season for Ajax last year. He won their Player of the Year. Obviously, that amazing UCL run for him. He has a promising future. He had a Future Stars card. He played some beautiful football. But once again, unproven in a big team, in a big league. I think he will get an upgrade, probably to an 84 or an 85. I can't see it going higher than that. And then we move on to the attackers. And here we go with the attackers. So Lionel Messi, I believe, will stay as a 94. The reason why I think he'll stay as a 94 is because I just don't think they will ever give a player a 95 rated base gold card. It limits how much they can do with the player going forwards. I don't know what Ronaldo's going to be. Maybe Ronaldo's down to a 93 or a 92, but I'm absolutely certain Messi will stay as a 94. I'm also absolutely certain he won't get upgraded. Suarez had a worse year by his standards. Less goals and assists in the league than last year. He only scored once in the Champions League last year. He had a worse season than the previous year, but he is still regarded as one of the best strikers in world football. And now he's 32. We could see his pace get crucified, or we could see EA downgrade him to an 89 or an 88 simply based on the age and the fact that he had a declining season. I do expect a small downgrade for Suarez, nothing more, nothing less. Antoine Griezmann, guys, less goals and assists in general for Atletico Madrid last season than the season before, but he played a slightly different role in the team because Diego Costa came into the team. And it's difficult to upgrade him based on the stats that he put out last year and based on the way he played football last year. But also, I don't think he deserves a downgrade. So I think he'll also come in as an 89. And that leaves Ousmane Dembele. Could easily be an 86 rated card next year instead of an 85 upgrade. Could easily be an 84 as well. He got more minutes, more goals, and more assists than the season before. Had generally a better season and is a quality player with a bright future. So likely to get a small upgrade, maybe a +1, maybe a +2. And that concludes the upgrades and downgrades for Barcelona. And this is what I think their team might shape up like next year. So, of course, this team was half helped, picked by the chat again. I think we're going to see Griezmann, Suarez, and Messi up front. I personally think we'll see a lot more Dembele than Suarez. I think we'll see a lot of Dembele left wing, Griezmann striker, Messi right wing for Barcelona. De Jong, Busquets, and Arthur in the midfield. Alba, Piqué, Lenglet, and Semedo in the backline, and Ter Stegen in goal. But Barcelona have a good squad. You could interchange those players as you wish. Again, this is just kind of like what myself and my stream came together to decide would be the end product for Barcelona in FIFA 20. And that is going to signal the end of the video. So guys, if you did enjoy this, if you want to see more of this, drop a thumbs up on the video. If you disagree with my ratings, feel free to express why and what you think it may be instead. I absolutely made sure I had no bias towards Arsenal, which is why I took on board a lot of what the chat was saying. But this is going to be the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. I'm out. Peace.